Hey kids, what's happening? Believe it or not, this garage is 10 years old. I built this thing, well, we had this thing built in 2010. I've had a lot of people commenting about what a nice man cave we have here, and we're pretty happy with it. We're pretty proud of it. Now, before this, we had no garage. All we had was the little shed out there. We talked about where we would want to put a garage on our property. We like the view coming up our driveway of the hill with the pines, and through the trees there you can see the pond as you pull in, and the house. Our driveway's always been kind of unique as you pull in from the road. You wind your way up around, and the first thing you're going to see is the log house. And the idea of putting a garage somewhere up here was kind of a challenge because we didn't want to impede that view in any way. Well, we talked to the zoning first of all and made our request to build a garage. And the first thing they said, well, if you're going to build a garage, according to the code in this area, it cannot be in front of the house. It has to be in the backyard behind the house. Well, right away we thought, boy, oh boy, that could pose a problem. Behind the house, huh? Well, we have our herb garden right here. That, of course, you see when you come up the driveway. Over there is all kind of swampy and wet. Anything over here would be in front of the house. And anything behind the house would block this beautiful view. And we didn't want that either. We talked about putting it over on this side of the house. But then when we talked to the zoning guy again, right over here is our septic tank, which runs out through this ditch line. And he said, no way, you can't have the garage anywhere near the septic tank, and it has to be at least 25 feet away from your house, and it has to be within 25 foot of the boundary, so that we didn't have enough room to put it in here either. Now what are we going to do? Well, I went back to the zoning board and I made an appeal to have our garage set up in front of the house. It was our only option, and they approved it. It took a couple weeks, but they finally approved it. The zoning guy came out, we explained to him what we wanted, and he said it was fine. Now, originally, this tree line that you see right here came all the way up to about here. These were all trees in here. It was all forested just like that. And this was the only yard we had right here. So that meant I had to clear the trees, and that ended up being a pretty big job. I was looking at a forested area similar to this right here, and so all the trees were cut off at the ground, all the brush was removed. That was a big job. And then I had all the stumps to remove as well. Well, I ended up going to Home Depot, the big box store, rented a stump grinder, and spent the good part of a hot day grinding stumps. And that was no picnic, I'm going to tell you. Eventually, though, we got this whole area cleared from here over, and we were ready to build. Now, I had a friend who was a builder at the time, and he came out and gave us a real good price on putting the barn up. We had also talked to some other contractors and had some comparable pricing, but you know, some of those prices go sky high. This guy, because he kind of knew us, gave us a pretty good deal, and we ended up going with him for the construction. Now, originally, I had considered doing it myself. I mean, after all, my dad and I built that, so that was no easy challenge to build a house. So I thought, well, how hard could it be to build a pole barn? Well, I don't know if you're familiar with pole barn construction, but the word pole in that title means that there's poles that go down into the ground for a foundation. You don't have a standard block foundation. The foundation is all treated lumber. And inside you can see the poles. Now, obviously they have concrete on them, but these poles go down in the ground at least 4 foot, if not more. And with that being part of the code too, well, let's just look here before I turn off the lights. There's, oh good grief, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. There's like 20 poles in this barn. So that meant there was 20 holes that had to be bored down into the ground. And you can't just throw the posts in there. Those holes have to be inspected by the county inspector. So, in other words, you'd have to set up an appointment with that inspector, have all 20 holes bored in there. He could inspect them, and then you drop these poles down in there, which are probably about 15-foot poles. They're not light, they're heavy. And that right there was a huge challenge for me, because I thought, okay, I'll have to rent a machine with an auger, and I've done this before in my previous job, so I know what's involved in it. It's no easy task to bore the holes and keep them from caving in, and then after they're inspected, to drop those poles in those holes and get everything all set, lined up, backfilled, would be a monumental job for one guy to do in a day. As for the framing and everything, I knew I was capable of doing it, but then again, you run into that time frame crunch. Like, how long do you have? I mean, I could probably take a year building this thing, but we didn't have a year. We just wanted it done. So we went ahead and hired this contractor to build it for us, and he did a great job. We wanted to, if we were going to do it, we wanted to have it big enough that it was practical for us. So we did 2 automobile bays, and then the 1 bay for the motorcycle and the shop. And then there's even a little added extra shop area here on the side. The siding is all T111, and then he dressed out all of the with aluminum on all of the trim. So all the eaves up here are aluminum, gutters, and all the trim is aluminum. I'm sure you've all been in here before, but it's plenty spacious inside. We have electric garage door openers that were installed. Plenty of room behind and in front of the vehicles to move around. Not tight here at all, even for a big Chevy 2500. It fits in here nicely. And then we've got this bay here that the bike parks in, and there has been 2 bikes in here before. And then I have the shop over here where I can work. So location was everything, and it worked out extremely well. because where it sits, it is, really easy to access coming up the driveway. We didn't have to build more driveway behind the house or have it sitting over here blocking this. You don't want to pull up the driveway and look at the side of a barn. That's what we didn't want. We wanted to come in the driveway and be able to see this beautiful vista, to see the house, and this kind of gets pushed over to the side. So again, with the aesthetics of the property, normally in the summertime, this is all foliated with leaves and brush over here, so you wouldn't see, like right now you can see the Hemi back there, and you can kind of see the garage behind it. But once that's all covered with leaves, it blocks all that out. And as you come up the driveway, pretty much this is all you see until you get up to a certain point, and then boom, it opens up, and here's the garage area. Now we put a lot of gravel in here because when you have a 30-foot travel trailer, you got to have a place to turn around, and we learned that real quick. This pad for the travel trailer was added later. Again, these trees over here came all the way up to here, so I had a little more clearing to do, and then we dumped a bunch of gravel in there, gave us a place to park the trailer. So now when I come in, I can sweep up here and back it right in there. When we leave, we can just swing a little wide here and head right out with it. And now we've talked about even building an addition onto this, where we would have another section of barn over here that would park that thing in. And I would imagine it would probably cost as much as that to build the addition on there. I don't think we're ready to do that, and I don't know that we ever will, but we just like to throw around the ideas. We're not extremely wealthy here as much as it looks. I give my wife a lot of credit for this, because without her impetus and pushing and her momentum, I probably still wouldn't have a garage. But she's great at budgeting, and she's very smart about it, and so we were able to pull together enough money to do this, and haven't regretted it one bit. The worst part of it, I guess, is we've got this little walkway you have to go between the house and the garage, so in any kind of weather, it isn't like where it's an attached garage and you can just come right out of the house and go, or out of the kitchen, walk right into your garage. You don't even have to go outside. We do have to trek outside to get in here. But you know what? I can tolerate that. That's good. So I feel very fortunate. I'm very proud of what we have. We worked really hard for everything we have. We got nothing for free. And it's our little piece of heaven. That's all I got for today. That's the story on the pole barn. If you're interested in how much it cost us, I'm going to say it was under 20 grand. A lot of the money went actually into the concrete floor. It isn't cheap to have concrete floor poured in a barn. There's a lot of concrete that went in there. But it worked out really well, and we're really, really happy with it. Well, there you go, guys. That's the story for today on the pole barn. And stay tuned. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. I would love to have you on board, and we'll continue to entertain you with more videos every Thursday, every Sunday. Hit the thumbs up, and if you once you subscribe, if you hit the little bell notification, you'll be notified each time we post a new video. That's all I got. So until next time, guys, I will catch you later. I'm gonna go in where it's warm. Whew.